Welcome back, Movie Take Tuesday, the movie review nobody asked for that I'm giving you anyway. I've been trying out, as you saw with last week's video, which, by the way, I forgot to schedule it. In fact, as we're sitting here now, I'm posting it at 10. Well, it's probably gonna be like 10 or 10:50 or 11 o'clock p.m. So, apologies, I forgot to schedule it. I yeah, I forgot to schedule it. So, my bad. Um, But anyway, let's just jump into the movie review, which I need to set a timer for because I keep forgetting. Ignore my hair that is just going crazy right now. So I need to set my timer because I need to. Oh, stopwatch, not timer technically. Um, yeah. So because I need to know how long I've been doing this for. Because I'm not trying to make these videos like a half an hour long. Not that I can really talk for that long. Because I forgot my water. So yeah. But I just don't want them to be like an 8 minute video. So, in any case, the movie review this week, the movie I watched was Mufasa, which is the Lion King story, of course. That's like a prequel, I guess, to The Lion King, and it's a live action. Which let me just say as like a preface, okay? We know, or at least if you've watched previous videos, how I feel about a sequel, especially for things that don't need sequels. Now, prequels are a different story. I like prequels. I like knowing what happened before the movie that I've watched a long time ago, if that makes sense. Please ignore my dog if that sound picks up on the audio. So, um, it's like a prequel that talks about the life of Mufasa before he became the king in the original Lion King story. And let me just off rip say, story alone, it was great. I loved this story. It talks about how he was with his family, he got swept away by a flood, and he got picked up by this lion named Taka, which, spoiler warning, it's not really a spoiler warning because that ends up being Scar. So it actually shows how they used to be brothers, which is pretty cool. I mean, I saw the trailer, so I knew that was happening, but like, it was still interesting to see like their relationship before Scar became Scar, and kind of how that played out between them. And at the very beginning, you just kind of see this relationship between the two, and you're just like, how does Scar ever turn bad? Well, how does Taka turn bad? And you see all these great things that Mufasa does, and then you kind of see, which I really loved about this movie. Even though it's just a live action and they're lions, they do a very good job of showing their emotion, of how, like, even though it's a lion, you're like, oh, that's a sad lion, that's angry, that's hurt. Well, that would be sad. Well, betrayed, whatever. Anyway, they do a great job of showing that emotion. And what they do good with Taka slash Scar is you see this like decline throughout the movie where he starts off, this bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, like, I'm gonna be king because he's actually a prince. In case you didn't know, again, spoilers. I mean, I don't want to. I'm not gonna spoil the movie, but you can guess how it goes. That's the great thing about prequels, is you know how it's gonna turn out, right? Because you've seen the movie that it's prequeling. Um, there's my dog. Good dog. Um, and yeah, so you see this like decline throughout the movie of how like, these little things just kind of, get on, not really get on his nerves, but, because the story starts with him saving Mufasa. And you see how he kind of has that, like, I saved you, why did you do this to me? Why did you do this? But, like, it's not that Mufasa is really doing anything bad to him. It's just that Mufasa is being, like, this awesome, I was going to say guy, but this awesome lion, I guess. a good person, I'm just going to refer them to as people because that's just going to be the easiest way to go about this. And so, like, Mufasa is this great guy that is got all these skills that you wouldn't expect a male lion to have because he's raised with like the female lions and he learns to hunt, and he learns all this cool stuff. And so yeah, you see Scar kind of go through this like decline of you know brothers with Mufasa, and it's like this separation, and you see how he becomes who he becomes, which that's the why I love prequels is because you get to see how that person turned out to be the way they are. Now, spoiler warning for this one. Skip like 30 seconds. I don't know how long this is going to take. But the thing that like sets him off is that Mufasa stole his girl, but not even stole his girl because he was never his girl to begin with. He's told Mufasa he liked this lion, and like I said, I'm just going to refer them as people because it's going to confuse me. So he liked this girl, but the girl liked Mufasa, and Mufasa did like the girl. So to Taka slash Scar, that was a big deal to him, and it felt like a betrayal. Which, sure, I guess but in any case, um, that's kind of what it boiled down to. Anyway, so the story was great, loved it. Now for some notes because this movie was not perfect. Okay, it wouldn't have even been perfect if I didn't have these notes. It was a good story, but it wasn't like amazing. It didn't really like, surprise me, which I guess again, it's a prequel, so there's really nothing to be surprised about, but whatever. Anyway, the notes. First one. The comedy was meh. It kind of missed on all fronts. Now, it wasn't like so bad, like watching a stand-up comedian bomb on stage kind of bad, because it wasn't like a cringe you know oh, like that kind of feeling you get when you just see a bad um or not see, but like you're there for like a really bad joke. So it wasn't that bad. But kind of how this story is told is it starts with um Rafiki, the baboon, Pumbaa, whatever the meerkat's name is, because I forget. I really shouldn't forget that, but I forget his name. And then Kiara, which is Simba's daughter. So it starts with them, and Rafiki tells this story. So it's like one of those movies where someone's above the story telling it how it goes, um, and like it sometimes it jumps back into like the present time and they speak and whatever, and that's when like Pumbaa tells these jokes, which I think Pumbaa's voice actor was Seth Rogen. I mean, he did fine as far as voice acting is concerned, but the jokes were just kind of they were too meta, which just kind of like they were fourth wall breaking in a movie that I didn't expect to be fourth wall breaking. And it wasn't even like they were aware of it. Kind of like in Deadpool, like he's aware that he's breaking the fourth wall. And it's like these guys break the fourth wall, but it's like they're not aware of that fact. So I wasn't a huge fan of that because it's just like it's a live action, of course, but it's an animated movie about lions and animals and the circle of life and blah 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 blah. Why do we have to like break the fourth wall and make jokes that exist outside of the movie? It just doesn't really connect very well in my eyes. It doesn't seem like that should be there. So I didn't really like that. Um Now some of you might enjoy that kind of fourth wall break humor, but I'm not a huge fan. Now, I will say that it's not going to lose. I'm speaking really fast, I just realized, but that's okay. It's not going to lose points because, well, I'm sorry, it's going to lose points on my rating, but it's not like it was detrimental to the movie because again, it wasn't cringe-worthy humor, so I wasn't like sitting there just like, oh, this is terrible. But I mean, because I wasn't expecting to go to like a comedic movie, right? Like that's not what I envisioned when I walked into Mufasa. I wasn't expecting to laugh, so when you throw humor at me that doesn't really land, it's kind of a whatever. I just I don't really mind, but I also think it didn't need to be there. So there's that. And then the other note I have was the musical numbers, which, you know, if you've watched the Wicked review, you know I'm not a fan of musicals in the first place, or at least I thought I wasn't. But in this case, it kind of brought me back down to earth on just kind of reasons why I'm not a huge fan of music in movies because the numbers they had just weren't really that good. Now, obviously, this is my own mind speaking on how I felt about it, but there were times when like certain songs sung by whichever person, it's like, you have the voice actor for this main bad guy lion, and he's got like this deep, like, I'm gonna be the king and everything belongs to me. And then when he starts singing, it's like higher pitched, and he's like saying like it's like goofy lyrics, which, you know, in like these kinds of movies, the music obviously no one's aware that they're singing. Does that make sense? Where the movie takes place in this weird gray area of like, you know, there's music that cuts in between the actual story being told, but no one like stops singing and goes, "Why did you guys start singing for no reason?" Like they just it's part of that world, I guess. I'm confusing myself. But in any case, it just sometimes that didn't really match the music with the voice actor. I mean, they were all good singers, don't get me wrong, but I didn't like um the writing for the songs. Whoever like that made that, and I didn't really like what else? Uh, I just didn't really like the songs. They weren't very good. Take that as you will. If you disagree, say something, and we can discuss about that. But I did not like the music personally. So, um, that's really my only two notes, I would say, like the cons of this movie. And I mean, the pros would be the story itself. I thought another pro is I did like seeing, you know, Simba was in it at the very beginning. If this is spoilers, get over it, okay? You come here to watch a movie review, I'm gonna have to talk about the movie. So just deal with it. Um, and Simba's got a daughter, and like Simba's wife is pregnant, and so you get to kind of see the events. This is why it's good, is because you get to see what happened after the regular Lion King, and you also get to see what happened before Lion King. So you kind of get the best of both worlds, where you get to see the story told further, but you also get to see how the story began, which is a very smart way of doing it. They could have just had like the very beginning, Rafiki's like, "Let me tell you a story," and then you just watch 2 hours of Mufasa, which would have been good. I would have liked that, but I do like how you got to see the events afterwards, and like Simba has his family now, he's the king, and like this is his daughter and all that. I did like that. So, um, I guess what else do I have to say about this movie? Uh, hmm, how long's it been? Let's see, about 15 probably, I think, if my timer's correct. So that's good enough. Okay, let me talk about. Look, I'm not just trying to talk to hit a timer. Okay, I'm not like meeting a quota. I just sometimes I want the videos to be longer, but sometimes there's just not a lot to talk about. Which not that there wasn't a lot to talk about on this movie. It's just like I kind of said my piece. Sorry, my dog made a weird noise. Um, I hope she's okay. She's fine. Um, so let me rate the movie. So, if it were based on story alone, I would have given it an 8 out of 10, which would have been a pretty fair rating because I really did enjoy the story of Mufasa. However, it's not going to get that because of the comedy kind of falling flat, which again, it's not going to hurt it that much. But also the musical numbers, they just weren't that good. I didn't really enjoy them. I would have preferred a movie where that just wasn't a part of it at all. So I would say overall a 6 out of 10, right? Because it's definitely not worse than mid, so it's not worse than 5, and I definitely enjoyed it, so it's not mid. I would I would say 6 is a fair rating, just because you know 6 is like if you think of percentages, which I don't, but like 60%, that's a D, right? That's barely passing, but it's passing. So that's what I think this movie deserves. Um, but it's hard to like balance that because again, liked the story, didn't like those other things, but I stick by it. 6 out of 10. Um, and yeah, that's it for the movie score and review. Um, I gotta take away something from my dog because she refuses to play with the toys I buy her and instead likes to chew up my stuff. So, let me get on to the side quest. If you've been following along with the side quest, thank you. Today, again, it was Sprite. Now, today was the last day of Sprite. I had the last flavor, which was pineapple. It was pineapple. Gotta say, pretty good. I really liked it. And I knew I was going to like it too because pineapple and Sprite just go together. Because, it's more of a citrusy, flavor. And Sprite is citrusy because it's citrus. It's lime and lemon. I think it's both. So yeah, really liked pineapple Sprite. Stay tuned for what the next drink is. I don't even know. I'm gonna find out next week, and we'll start there. Again, I'm just gonna skip. Not again. I don't know if I've said this, but I'm gonna skip like the base flavor by itself. Whoops. Because everyone knows what Coke tastes like, so I don't need to talk about regular Coke. Um, but yeah, so I'm gonna start with something flavored and go from there. So, thank you for watching all the way to the end of the video. If you liked the video, please leave a like. And if you keep coming back to this channel, please subscribe. I could use the support. I've got 15 subscribers strong. I appreciate you guys. Hope we get some more. So that's all I got for you, and I'll see you next Tuesday.